Welcome to part 2 of the Tino the Turtle tutorial. So we're going to start off by making the bottom of the shell, which means we are going to be making a magic ring. So grab your green yarn and place it in your palm like this. Wrap it around your top 3 fingers. Create an X on one side and 2 parallel lines on the other side. Then I like to grab the yarn with my pinky like that. So once you have this, you're going to grab your crochet hook. Place your hook under the first loop, over the second loop, and pull that second loop under the first loop. Twist your hook, and then you're going to grab the yarn and pull it through that loop. If you didn't catch that, don't worry, I will replay it for you now in slow motion. Once you've got your magic ring done, you can kind of situate your hands to be the best placement. I like to twist the yarn around my fingers and then kind of hold on to it with my middle and thumb. And make sure you're holding on to both the tail and the loop. You are going to place 6 single crochets in this loop, and make sure you're single crocheting under both the tail and the loop. If you're not single crocheting under both of them, then you're not going to be able to close the ring later. So that's the first single crochet. This is the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So once you have 6 single crochets, you can close the circle. Make sure you pinch the top piece with your thumb and forefinger, or else you're not going to be able to close it properly. It's going to kind of twist on itself. So pull tight and make sure that the loop doesn't all shrivel up into a mess. And once you close your magic ring, you should have something that looks like this. So now we are going to move on to round 2. Round 2, we are increasing in every single stitch around the circle. So go ahead and place your first single crochet in that first stitch. So that's 1 single crochet, and then we are going to place our second right away for an increase, like so, and then we are going to pause and mark that stitch. So count 2 stitches back from the loop because that would be the first single crochet that we made. And now we are going to do our second increase. So in the next stitch, place 2 single crochets. That's 1 and that's 2. And then in the next stitch, again, place 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. And just keep placing 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around the circle until you get back to the stitch marker. You should have 12 stitches at the end of this round. Moving on to round 3, we are going to alternate between a single crochet and an increase. So place your first single crochet of the round and mark this stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to be doing an increase, which means we're placing 2 single crochets in this stitch. So that's the first, and this is the second. And then in single crochet. And then increase. Just keep repeating this pattern all the way around until you get back to the stitch marker, alternating between a single crochet and an increase. This is going to take our stitch count from 12 to 18. Then we can remove our stitch marker, and the next round is going to be 2 single crochet increase. So remove your stitch marker and place your first stitch and mark that stitch. And then we're going to place another single crochet in the next one. And now we are going to do an increase. And the second single crochet like so. And then single crochet, single crochet, increase. So in this round, we are increasing only in every third stitch. This is going to bring our count from 18 stitches to 24 stitches. So now that we've finished round 4, we are going to make the exact same thing in blue. So repeat everything that we just did up until round 4 in blue. And in just a second, I will show you how to fasten off of the green one. So remove your stitch marker, and we are going to make a slip stitch to fasten off. So insert your hook, and in the next available stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through all the loops immediately on your hook. Just like so. And that's called a slip stitch, and that's just going to leave us with a neat little fasten off. And you can cut your yarn here. You don't have to leave a long tail, but we are going to be weaving in both that end and the inner piece. So again, we are going to make the exact same thing in blue. So pause this video, restart it, and repeat those steps. And I'll meet you back once you've done all that in blue. So now we have an identical piece to the green one in blue. You can insert your hook, and we're going to place the first stitch of the next round. So this piece is going to have 3 more rounds than the green piece does. So mark the stitch that you just made. And for the next 3 rounds, all you're going to be doing is single crocheting in each stitch around 24 stitches. We're not increasing, we are not decreasing, just a simple single crochet in every single round. It's really important that you stop at each round and mark the beginning of each round with your stitch marker. And it's also really important that you're counting your stitches and make sure that after each round you still have 24 stitches. It's really important that both the blue piece and the green piece have 24 stitches once you're done with them. And I will meet you back once you are back at the stitch marker and once you've completed 3 rounds of 24 single crochets. So that's the end of round 5, and I'm just going to speed up round 6 and 7, and I'll meet you back once you're done that. Now that we're done round 7, we can weave in the end of our blue piece, so don't cut anything yet. Just take the tail end from the magic ring and weave it in. You can flip the piece inside out if it's easier for you, and make sure you do that on both the green and the blue. Now we're going to be crocheting both the blue and the green pieces together. So make sure that the tail sides are facing inwards and the knife sides are facing outwards. This is why it was important to have 24 stitches in each piece, because we're going to be placing a single crochet through both pieces to connect them throughout the whole round. So insert your hook back into the blue piece, and it doesn't really matter where you start on the green piece, just in the next stitch of the blue piece, insert your hook. And then insert your hook on a stitch in the green piece. So now that you have both the green and the blue on your hook, yarn over, pull through both of the stitches, yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops. And then go in the next stitch in the blue, the next stitch in the green, do the exact same thing, make a single crochet. And just make sure you place a single crochet in every single stitch on the blue and the green. And what this does is it connects the pieces together and it creates a really nice ridge for your turtle shell. And it looks a lot neater than just sewing it together. So just continue doing this all the way around, and pause before you're about 4 or 5 stitches from the end, and we're gonna stuff the turtle shell then. If you flip your piece over, it should look something like this. It's creating a really nice edge for your turtle shell. So now that we have a smaller hole at the beginning like this, we're gonna stop and stuff it. So just pop your green end back into this turtle shell. And we're just gonna grab some of our stuffing and stuff the shell. Make sure you don't overstuff the shell or else it won't sit flat. But make sure there's enough stuffing where it's pretty firm and it doesn't look loose. And then once you've got your stuffing in there, you can just continue on crocheting the last few stitches. It's a little bit trickier now that the turtle shell is stuffed, so just go slow and make sure you're not yanking on your yarn too hard. Once you get to the last stitch, just make sure you close up that tiny little hole that remains. It's kind of tricky to get your hook in there, but just do your best. And then you can fasten off by slip stitching into the next stitch like so. And then you can cut your yarn. You don't need to leave a long tail because we're just going to be weaving it in. Once you pull that tight, just weave it in, and then I'm going to show you how to sew the head onto the body. The next step is to grab the head of your turtle and thread the yarn onto the yarn needle. And then we're going to be sewing this little flap bit onto the shell. So grab the shell. I like to sew the head right onto where we fastened off of the blue shell just so that we can hide that piece, but you can fasten on the head wherever you'd like. And then just poke your needle into a part of the green on the shell and poke it onto where the flappy bit is. I like to go a little bit high on the head. I like to go about the whole stitch up, if you can tell, like that. And that's just going to make the head a little bit more secure rather than just sewing it on the very edge of the flappy bit. I sew it onto where it meets the stuffing of the head. And make sure you pull tight after each stitch. This is just a simple whip stitch, it's nothing fancy. And you can see my turtle head is a little bit floppy, so I'm going to put in some more stitches to secure it. You can go as high up onto the head as you want. You can sew it onto the blue bit. You can play around with it and just make sure the head is super secure before you weave in your end and cut it. As you can see here, I placed 2 stitches on each side of the very edge of the head, and that really secures it down. And there you have it, your head is all sewn on. In part 3, I'm going to show you how to make the fins of the turtle and how to sew those on, so I will see you there.